Hello everyone, my name is James Ryan, and I'm here to teach you how to build a redstone computer in Minecraft from the ground up. Problem with this thing that I found is that this happens. See that see over there, this one turning on when I do this, when this is off, but I turn this and I turn this off for a second. Yeah, that's because there's a bit of a delay. But here's how it works. Basically, turn this off. This works as normal because this is the RS NOR latch, and this here is just going into that same inverter, non-inverter setup. If you take a look, here it's being inverted. Here it's being inverted, but then that inverted signal is then being re-inverted here. So if you take a look, if I flip the lever, then this will become this will turn off, turning this torch on, powering this, and then deactivating this torch. Makes sense. But if I turn on this lever, it deactivates both of these torches, no matter what. So it's as if that nothing was on. Problem is, there's a slight tick delay between the turning off of the two torches, I think. Yeah. Here's the problem, I think. Hang on. Problem is, when it turns off, this torch turns on. No. When this turns off, yeah, hang on. When this turns off, it allows this torch to turn on first. Okay, hang on. Let me think about this just for a second. Okay, if this is on, then and this is on. Okay, these torches are both off, right? When this torch turns on, lets this torch turn on. Straightforward, right? But if this is off, then what happens is this. That torch turns on for a second, because what's happening is both torches are turning. This torch is allowed to turn off for a second. This torch isn't, though, because it is. Actually, I'm not sure. Why does that happen? It shouldn't, should it? What causes it to turn on first? That turns on. Ah, I see what happens. So what happens is when this turns off, these torches both turn on for a second, but then this one is turned off by this one, causing a slight tick. But that's okay if all we're worried about is the output, not the inverted one. So for those purposes, everything is fine. Great. No, well, that's only if we're worried about the inverted output. Yes, we have to only focus on an inverted output if we go with this. That's okay. So that's a good flip-flop, but it's not the best, but unfortunately, I don't know how to make the best. But you know what? That's fine, because we're not making a computer just yet. Now, let's go back into logic gates. We're going to learn one more logic gate, and it's called the exclusive OR logic gate. And I guess I must have been mistaken earlier on when I said that you could make any logic gate you liked by just, messing around with the inputs and outputs. Because when you do that, you're always going to have two inputs, and you're always going to have three output states where it's off and one where it's on, but never any way for it to have two on and two off. Actually, no, they might be. What about this? What would this be? So whenever A is on, then it's on, otherwise it's off. But then you'd have to somehow, but that would just mean, A and then B not connected. And then you'd need to somehow, inverting B wouldn't swap anything. And you would still, have this kind of same setup. You wouldn't be able to get to something like this, though. So what is this? This is a new gate called the exclusive OR. So the exclusive OR is kind of like the OR gate. If A is off but B is on, then it's on. if A is on, and B, if A is on but B is off, then it's on. If A is off and B is off, then it's off. But if A is on and B is on, then it is off, because it will only it is an exclusive OR. It will only be on if A is on or B is on, but not if both are on. So it's exclusive to just OR. It doesn't include AND. That's why it's called the exclusive OR. It's also, because it's the exclusive OR, it is usually written as XOR. So some people will call it the XOR gate. I prefer to call it the XOR gate, because XOR can be pronounced because XOR can be pronounced as XOR. At least in my opinion, it can. So I call it the XOR gate. And the opposite of the XOR, the inverted XOR gate, which you can get from inverting either one of the inputs, or just inverting the output, but not inverting both inputs, because inverting both inputs will just cause these two to swap places and these two, and that will leave you with what you had before. But inverting the output will result in a gate called the exclusive NOR gate, or XNOR gate, and as I pronounce it, XNOR gate, the XNOR gate. And the exclusive NOR gate is exactly what it sounds like. It's just the opposite of the XOR gate, the original XOR gate. It's just inverted. This is good for quite a bit, actually. You may have seen gates such as this in your house, if you have an elevator in your house with if you have a staircase in your house, or stairs in your house, and you have one light switch at the bottom of the stairs, another at the top of the stairs, those are probably an example of XOR logic, because the thing about XOR gates is whenever you switch one of the inputs, so if I start here and I switch this input, it'll go there. If I switch that input again, it'll go back there. If I switch a different input, it'll go there. If I switch this input, then that input, it'll go there. Every time you switch an input with a XOR gate, the output will toggle. So every time you toggle either one of the inputs, the output will toggle. So that's really good for being able to toggle something from multiple locations by just plugging in the input from each of the locations into a XOR gate. And and that's how it works. If you want like 3 inputs to work in that, you just if you wanted like 3 inputs for this kind of toggle thing, so that if you toggle any of the 3 inputs, then the output will toggle. You just put 2 of them into a XOR gate, and then put the third input into a XOR gate along with the output of the first XOR gate. Because then when the third input toggles, then the output will toggle for the XOR gate, and if either of the first 2 inputs toggle, then the XOR gate will toggle, and then causing the other XOR gate to toggle. So yeah, the output will toggle whenever either of them are toggled, and you can increase that by just keep on adding more XOR gates. Now let's talk about binary and adders. No, actually let's talk about clocks. Clocks are, I think, yeah, everything's fine. Remember I showed you that RS NOR latch earlier? Like so. Yeah. I had 2 inverters like so. Yeah, and the input of one inverter was plugged into the other. Okay? And whenever you have an even number of inverters, it always works out. These configurations with even are stable. Let me just hang on. Yep, with even numbers, these configurations are always stable, because one's gonna for example, with 4, 2 of them are going to be on and the other 2 are going to be off, because each of them keeps the next depowered. This one keeps it powered, and this one keeps that depowered, and it all works out. But with odd